Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all had a very nice 4th of July holiday and are enjoying a little bit of a break in the rain. It's been pretty nice. I think we might get a couple more days of mixed weather at least before we get back to steady rain, it looks like next week. But today was wonderful. You might still hear some thunder lingering outside. We had a nice little thunderstorm pass through here in Steuben, and I always enjoy thunderstorms, and still rumbling a little bit out there. So today we are going to talk about neighbors. Mr. Rogers would, and in his song, would always say, "Won't you be my neighbor?" And he always called us all neighbors. He didn't call us friends. He didn't say, "Won't you be my friend?" Which would be nice. He didn't call us acquaintances or boys and girls or ladies and gentlemen. He called us neighbors. Now, neighbors is a word that we know well from, among other places, the Bible. We are instructed to love our neighbors as ourselves, right? And in the New Testament, Jesus discusses this commandment with a lawyer. And I am going to read to you about that. It's from Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through 37. And this is a parable you will have heard before. It's the parable of the Good Samaritan, but we are going to visit it in the context of neighbors. And behold, a lawyer stood up to put to him the test, saying, "Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" He said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" And he answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And he said to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this, and you will live." But the lawyer, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" And Jesus replied with this parable. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers, who stripped him and beat him and departed, leaving him half dead. Now, by chance, a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise, a Levite, when he came to that time of day when the dog wants her walking food. So likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back." And then Jesus, after relaying this parable to the lawyer, he asked him, "Which of these 3 do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers?" And the lawyer said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said to him, "You go and do likewise." So, like the lawyer, you might ask, who exactly are neighbors? Who are neighbors in our lives? And our neighbors are the people we meet, often at our local grocery store or the post office or the coffee shop. And I can't help thinking of another formerly PBS show, Sesame Street. There was the song, "Who are the people in our neighborhood?" I wonder if anyone you remember that. So, who are the people in our neighborhood? In our neighborhood, in your neighborhood. Oh, who are the people that in your neighborhood? They're the people that you meet when you're walking down the street. They're the people that you meet each day. And then they go through, the postman is a person in your neighborhood. So I can't help thinking of that song. But it's true, right? These are the people in your neighborhood. The postman, the fireman, firewoman, the people that we see in our daily lives that might not be close friends or family, but it turns out actually have a pretty big impact in our lives. The neighbors are the people that anchor us in the world and give us a sense of being a part of a community, which is really important. Sometimes our neighbors are part of the segment of our social circles called consequential strangers, or they're often called peripheral or weak ties. But don't let those names fool you, because these people have more than just a small role in our lives. And they are in fact very important to our well-being. So you probably know the expression, it takes a village. And this remains true today. And by making a neighborhood the setting of his show, Mr. Rogers emphasized the importance of these villages or these neighborhoods, same idea, in our daily lives. Now, on the show, the neighborhood cultivated a sense of safety and peace. These connections that we have within our communities, with our neighbors, they're probably the ones we lost to the greatest degree during the pandemic, because we still had our pods, right? But those peripheral ties, those consequential strangers, they disappeared from our lives. And I remember feeling that loss greatly. And I remember thinking, I silly thought I had, it's like, MDI is changing. There's not as much a sense of a community as there once was. Of course there was, but I just didn't have it, because none of us were out there in that community having those peripheral encounters with our neighbors. So turns out how long and how well we live is determined not only by how we act, but by our social relationships and the people that we interact with. And neighbors are play a role in that, and they're people who can positively affect various aspects of our lives. There's actually been several scientific studies that have found associations between the closeness of a neighborhood and with how when the neighborhood is closer, that the people in it have improved physical and mental health. The residents of such socially close neighborhoods may be more likely work together to achieve common goals. So for good schools or cleaner public spaces, more likely to exchange information like childcare resources or job openings, and to maintain informal social controls like discouraging crime or making sure people aren't driving too fast down the street, those sorts of things. So all of us being neighborly towards each other can help us in so many ways that you might not really think about. But some of these ways include increased confidence and self-esteem, because it's shown that when you're lonely, you lose confidence and self-esteem. Spending time with neighbors helps us feel useful, and we feel like our lives have more of a greater purpose. And by having neighbors, we can cultivate resiliency. So in the face of hardship or adversity, socializing with neighbors can help individuals hone skills that can reduce stress and help us recover from setbacks and bad things that have happened in our lives. And it even can help us live longer. Studies have shown that studies have shown loneliness is a risk factor of the body and mind's decline as we age. So it can make both our bodies and our minds decline faster. And loneliness can even lead to an earlier death. So by maintaining these contacts in our community and by being neighborly, we can live longer. And staying social and connected with others can not only extend the length of our life, but the quality of our life as well, as discussed previously. So it can help us in so many ways to be a neighbor. It's about being there for each other. Not just for our nearest and dearest, but all those people that we interact with on our daily lives. Be kind to the person at the checkout counter in the grocery store, even if you're in a hurry, in a rush, and there was a long line. They're probably tired too and want to go home. And So anything you can do to, with these people you encounter casually, um, in your daily lives, think of them as a neighbor. And when Mr. Rogers says, "Won't you be my neighbor?" he's saying, let all of us be people who, like the Good Samaritan in Jesus's parable, who will help one another in a time of need. And that's how we can all be neighbors to each other. That is it for today. I think it just started raining a little bit more here. Imagine that, but I think it's just going to pass through. So I hope you all stay dry, enjoy the sunshine when it comes out, and I'll see you next time.